Well, hello and welcome to our reading of the Greek New Testament, and I'm reading through the Epistle to the Hebrews and up to chapter 10. Skian ga ekon honomos turn melon turn agathon, ugauten ten icona turn pragmaton, cat eniauton tais autais thusias has prosperus in estodianenkes, depoti dunatai tus pros ecomenus telaiosai. So we have the subject here is the law. So and we get a participle. So literally the law having a shadow of the good things being about to come or being about to be. Now, echo with an adverb can be used in place of the verb to be, and some translators translate this as the law is a shadow, which is not really exactly what the Greek says. It says having a shadow of the good things being about. This is a participle from mellow, so the good things which are coming. We haven't had a main verb for that, that comes later. And then we get a comma here, not itself, and we get this tone aekonotos, a tone pragmaton. Now this itself is a Platonic phrase. It's a phrase out of Plato. You can see it, for example, in the Cratylus of Plato 306e, and the whole question of Platonic influence on Hebrews is one much discussed, and well, I'll leave that to the commentaries, but there you do get these interesting little phrases here that do ring the bell if you're familiar with Plato. So, not itself, the icon, we get the word icon from this. It means perhaps true form or image, reality of the matter, the pragmaton, and this presumably refers to the good things that are to come. So, not itself the reality of the matter, that is of these good things that are about to come. Now, that's close the comma, and then we get cat eniauton, year by year, by the same sacrifices which they offer, estot de ainekes, we've seen this before, meaning continually or perpetually. So by means of the same sacrifices which they offer year by year. Now finally, the subject of the sentence is honomos, and there's the verb here, is udepoti, is never able to make perfect those who are drawing near, understand, to the sacrifices. So just to put that together again here. So for the law, either having or being a shadow of the good things that are to come, is not itself the reality of these things, of these matters, that is, of these good things, and yearly, by the same sacrifices which they offer continually, the law is never able to make perfect those who are drawing near. Epe uk an epausanto feromenai prosperomenai dia to median ekain etison edesin amation tus latruontas hapax katharismenus. And notice it's a question here, and again there's some variance on whether it is a question, and I think most people take this as a question here now. So since, now we get a participle here which is feminine, and that tells us what the subject of the verb must be. So it's feminine, must be agreeing back with this thusia, these sacrifices. Since, now it's a question, since would not the things being offered, would they not cease? Would not these sacrifices being offered, would they not cease? And then we get dia top plus infinitive, And the subject of the infinitive, I think, is tu slaptruontas, the ministers or servants. This must refer to the priests making the sacrifices. So dia top, so something like since those ministering, if they were once having been cleansed, so if they were cleansed once and for all, they would have no longer any sun eidesis, consciousness of sins. So it's dia top plus the infinitive, and the meidemian goes with the sun eidesin, which is conscience or consciousness here. So just to put that together a bit, it's quite hard, this bit. So since would not the sacrifices understood being offered, would they not have ceased? Power in the active is to check something, to stop it, and power in the middle is to check yourself and hence cease. So would the sacrifices being offered not have ceased because those who were ministering, having been purified once, they would have no longer any consciousness of their sins. Alin autais anamnesis hamation kat eneauton adunaton ga haimataron kaitragon aphirein hamatias. But in these, now this must, again it's feminine, it must refer to the sacrifices. So in these sacrifices, in these very sacrifices, kat enaution, year by year, understand there is an anamnesis, so a remembrance or recollection of sins. For the blood of bulls and of goats is understood adunaton, unable, aphirein from aphirio, to take away sins. Now we now have a quotation here from the book of Psalms, from the Septuagint, not the first line but the remainder of it, Psalm 40 I think. So dia is from dia plus hop, for which reason or wherefore it's generally translated as. It's just become one word now. Originally dia plus hop, so for which reason Ecomenos est on cosmon lege, coming into the world he says, and who is the subject of lege? Well, presumably Jesus, but you'll need to look at the commentaries on this one. That would not be in the context of where it comes from, but then they often take quotations from the Septuagint and then reinterpret them. So for which reason, coming into the world he says, Thusian kai prosperan uk e thelesas, soma de kat tiso moi. Now the main verb here is from thelo. It's got an irregular form. This is an aorist, second person singular aorist. In New Testament Greek it's just thelo. Originally it was ethelo, and that augmented to an eta, which survives in New Testament Greek, even though the original epsilon doesn't in thelo. That's why we've got a funny irregularity here. And this is the same in the Septuagint. So, for you did not wish sacrifice and prosperan offerings, but this is from kat artisdamai, and it's the second person singular aorist, middle. So, but you prepared a body for me. Holokautomata kai perihamatias uk eudokesas, nor so you did not delight in whole burnt offerings. This is this holos and cow from kaio, to burn, whole burnt offerings, and we have to understand sufferings, offerings or something regarding sin. So whole burnt offerings and understand offerings regarding sin you did not take delight in. Toti epon, at that time I said, Idu heiko en kephalidi bibliu gegraptai periemu to poiesai hotheos to thelemasu. Behold, I have come. Is that heiko verb, I have come? It's a good classical word, used both in prose and in poetry. And we get a comma here, so we get this parenthesis here, but this really follows on to this bit here. So behold, I have come so as to do your will. Hotheos is nominative for vocative. You often get this where they will use in the Septuagint and New Testament occasionally where they'll use the nominative in place of the vocative. So it's, O God, it has been written regarding me in the Kephalidi Bibliu. Kephalis is a word with a range of meanings, but in Alexandrian Greek, I think it was used to refer to the scroll of a book, and that's what it is here. So, taking this bit first, in the scroll of the book, it has been written, perfect passive here, regarding me, behold, I have come to do your will, O God. Anoteron legon hotithusias kai prosphoras kai holokautomata kai perihamatias uk ethelesas udi eudokesas haitines katanomon prosperontai toti ereken idu heiko tu poiesai tot thelemasu. Anoteron is, it's made up from ano, above, and there's just the comparative here. It just means further up. So it's really meaning the passage I've just quoted, so just further up. So above, perhaps. Legon, saying, and then hoti, perhaps hoti recitative, saying that, or saying. And we get the quotation. Take the main verbs here first. You did not wish, nor did you delight in sacrifices and offerings and whole burnt offerings and offerings regarding sins. Just a quotation of the above. Hoitines, those which, it's agreeing back with the sacrifices, the very things which prosperontai, passive, are being offered according to the law. Tote ereken, at that time he has said, perfect from lego, behold, I have come to do your will. Idu heiko tu poiesa totot thelemasu. In ire to proton hina to deuteron stase. Now anhyreo it's from anhyreo is the verb, so it's contracted there. Hyreo means to raise or lift, but it can have this unpleasant meaning of to destroy. In fact, in Homer, hyreo is used to kill someone, a bit like our ghastly expression to take someone out. So anhyreo, I think, has a sense of destroy. So he destroys, or he puts an end to, or well, destroy is probably good. Top proton, the first, in order that he might establish the second, subjunctive from histemi. Literally, he might cause to stand or establish the second. So it's referring to the two principles up here. The idea of, is getting rid of the idea of the sacrifices and replacing it with this, I have come to do your will. And picking up the thelema from the quotation, we get thelemati here. Enho thelemati hegiasmin or esmin diates prosperas to somatos Jesu Christu ephapax. In which will, so perhaps it's almost by that will, referring back to this thelema, by that will, we get a periphrastic perfect passive here. We are having been cleansed. So we have been cleansed or purified from hagiasdo through the offering of the body of Jesus the Messiah, ephapax, once and for all. And that's the first part of chapter 10.